nice.
I didn't want to, now I'm into winter clothes again, like
Yeah, no, I hear
Harry
you.
said.
Yeah, I like Spokane, I especially like the weather, but the summer's
I
always.
communicated with James too.
Go ahead. Let me see, hold on. This morning.
Mary's got your text. I'm here. Kind of a little close today.
That's okay. We're going to give it a couple of more minutes, even though it is straight up 6 o'clock. This is a special meeting. It would be nice if we had the full council here for the purpose intended.
Yep.
So we'll give Councilmember Blair a few minutes to find his way through Zoom. Through the front door. And we do have candidate Shalane McAtee here. And then we also have the attendees, since you all can't see that, we have Brian Hess, Charlene Jones, Kelsey Carter, Lynn Roy in attendance mode. And when we get to that point, we'll elevate, if the council's pleasure is to interview those two, we'll elevate them to panelists so you can see them, hear them. There's doorbell. Okay. Council, okay to start? Good evening. We will call the meeting of the Yelm City Council special meeting to order. This particular meeting is going to be held virtually and in person. So those of you who are watching at home, I hope that you can hear okay. Having called the meeting to order, we'll do so even as a special meeting with our standard procedure of doing a salute to the flag. So find a flag near you, folks, and join us in, there's one, great, thanks, Grant. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could the clerk take the roll, please?
Councilmember James Blair,
I'm here. I'll be on video in a second.
Councilmember Molly Carmody,
Here.
Councilmember EJ Curry,
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Wood,
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto,
Here.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky, Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. Tonight's agenda is simply for the purpose of appointing someone to council position 4. However, there are some opportunities for amendment. I see Councilmember Wood's hand is up.
I move we amend tonight's agenda to include a 5-minute period for each, for these two remaining candidates to address the council.
Second?
Seconded by Councilmember DePinto. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then I would recommend, Grant, if you could elevate, or Brianna, excuse me, if you could elevate first CJ Jones to panelist, and council will have an opportunity to listen to CJ address the council and then ask questions, and we'll try to shoot for 5 minutes, and then we'll also bring Stefan back up. We see you. Can you hear us okay? Charlie?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Councilmember Wood?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor, but I believe we've amended the agenda, but I don't know that we've approved it.
You have passed your first test for the evening, Councilmember Wood. There was a motion to amend the agenda with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have an amended agenda, and now we have Council Candidate Jones. Go ahead and address the council. Tell us all about yourself, and then they'll ask you some questions.
Okay. Well, I am really happy to have this opportunity. I'm interested in serving on the council because for me and my family, we are community service kind of people. And honestly, up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought it was a volunteer position. I didn't know there was some kind of stipend. We've been in Yelm since 2016 when we decided that this was where we wanted to retire. My husband is former US Army, served 2 tours in Iraq. What else about me? I am independent. I think both parties have something to offer. So I don't fit into the traditional liberal Republican thing, which is probably good for this position. Some of you may have attended the Boy Scout Venture Group, the United States Future Army Soldiers Program. That program was mine and my husband's. We have a heart for our youth. My husband, Mark, he's the one who usually takes care of that particular community service that we do. For me, I worked with young offenders up in Echo Glen Children's Center. I worked there since May of 2016. I started in the mental health unit, got promoted twice in the mental health unit in a very short period of time. And then I obtained the supervisor position at the boys maximum security unit. Oh my goodness, what else? I'm not used to talking about myself. While my husband was in the military, I was the FRG leader for both of his units when we were with the one on JBLM and when we were in recruiting in California. I believe that it's really important for military families to have a lot of support when their spouses are deployed and when they're not, because sometimes that can be really challenging too. I was the president of Operation Warriors Foundation, which is a foundation that provides food and clothing and household items to veterans. I relinquished that in 2018. So we did it in California and we did it here. What else? One of my favorite charities, the one that matters a lot to me, is mental health and suicide prevention, particularly since it affects our youth so much. My heart is for our youth. That's our future. I do have a program that I presented to the state in their leadership program. And it's a really great program, but they said that they don't have the money to do all of the ones that they want to do. What they don't understand is that there won't be a whole lot of money to it anyway. So that program for the community. Committed theft over at Walmart, say, because that seems to be the place where the police spend most of their time. And they get charged, they go to court, and instead of sending them to jail, and some of their families can't afford to pay fines, we send them to places like Doug's if they needed somebody for dishwashing, or to the school to cut grass, or cutting grass for the city, paying it back in a genuine way where they actually have to put back into the community that they've taken from. I have my master's in criminal justice. I was inducted into the Alpha Phi Sigma Honor Society and the Delta Alpha Pi Honor Society. I also was part of the Golden Key Society. Gosh, I don't know what else.
Well, Charlene, the way we've run this is we've given each candidate roughly about 5 minutes or so, which you're closing in on. So if you have any last statement you'd like to make, then I'd open up the council to ask you questions.
Okay. I feel like I could be a benefit to the Yelm City Council because I'm a relator, so I'm really good with dealing with people. I solve problems, I look for the risks and I look to reduce them. I examine all the aspects of the situation and I look for liabilities. I speak with caution. I take ownership for what's under my care. And I work hard and do things properly and ethically. So that's what I've got for you.
All right, we'll open up for questions. I see Councilmember DePino's hand.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for speaking to us tonight and being here with us virtually. I was wondering, same question I asked other folks last week was, what is a decision that cities made that you would disagree with?
A recent decision?
Any decision?
I don't know. I felt like the city has done a lot of good stuff for their citizens. I know there was some challenges when the marijuana thing came to town. And I'm glad that the city council approved it because I believe, being a cancer survivor, that it made it a little bit easier for people with cancer to access what they needed for their pain. As far as things that the Yelm City Council has passed, I don't recall anything that they've passed that I disagreed with.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Councilmember Carmody.
Yeah, my question is the same that I was asking everybody else as well. Are you planning on filing to run for, or have you filed to run for the next upcoming election in November?
So after careful consideration with my husband, yes.
Okay.
I do nothing without talking to my husband first and making sure that he's also prepared for that.
Councilmember Blair, I can't see you. I want to make sure you've had an opportunity to ask a question if you're there.
I'm here. For whatever reason, it's not letting me turn video on. But I don't have any questions tonight. I had actually a pretty long, lengthy conversation with CJ previously, and I appreciate a lot of her perspectives for sure.
Okay. Any other council members have questions for Charlene? I should have asked this at the beginning. Do you prefer CJ?
CJ was the name that I used at work at Echo Glen because I didn't want them to go looking for me. But you can call me either.
Sorry,
I just around here.
used CJ, my bad.
No,
All
you're
right.
good.
Thank you, Charlene. Then I will ask Stephen Burney to come up to the dais. And we fixed our microphone problem. So I will ask you to enunciate just a little bit. And if you can give us just a quick summary again of who you are and a clarification for council. After the last meeting, Stephen talked with City Administrator Graham and cleared up her eligibility residency to our satisfaction. We thank Councilmember Blair for bringing it to our attention, but indeed, Stephen does qualify for eligibility for this position. And so because your interview was truncated by that question, if you want to give a quick roundup of your important points and then stand for any more questions that council would have.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am Stephen Burney. I have, over the last 10 years, been in state government within the Department of Health. Primarily, my background is in strategic planning, employee engagement, innovation, and a little bit of change, organizational change management. Prior to going into state service, I actually worked in veterinary medicine. So I went from vaccinating pets to working on the back end of all the policy side of it. Over the last year and a half, I've been the deputy director for COVID testing. So lots of changing and moving pieces on that. And yes, I apologize about the freeze last time and the questions. And I have been in the city limits since February of 2019. So third of time, and I know I gave some updates last time. I'll pause there for questions.
Very good. And of course, the council has had all of your applications, able to peruse them for some time. In fact, the NVN did a nice story on all the applicants that's posted online as well. Council, do you have any questions for candidate Bernie? Yes, Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Same question. What's the decision the city's made that you would disagree with?
Not necessarily a decision. There was one meeting that I had came to, and it was on the homeless task force and bringing a shelter here. And in that meeting, I felt like the structure of it was a little bit flexible, maybe, and there was a lot coming at the council. And I thought that maybe the structure of that particular meeting could have potentially been a little bit more regiment. That's what I would go with.
Sure, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Carmody?
Thank you. I actually think that she answered my question last time. So, but I'll ask it again for clarity. Are you planning on filing or running for the November election?
I was not, actually. When I had applied for this position, I went into it with the 6-month term in mind, just to kind of get my feet wet. I've never worked in local city government or anything of that nature, and so that was my intent. After debating with my family at home, I've got a little bit extra support than I was expecting, and they're kind of asking me to go for it. So obviously there's an interest, and so why not? So not 100% decided, but leaning more towards.
Councilmember Curry?
Have you been involved in anything in the city? Any committees or organizations or?
Not just yet.
You've got a family, I know, and that is involvement.
I've got kids in school. And after looking over some of the commissions, there are 3 that I actually kind of have on my list that I was looking into. Hopefully more.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands for questions, thank you for taking this second time. Second time's the charm. Council, now you've heard from all the candidates for the position. By the agenda, you have asked to go into an executive session for further discussion of the qualifications of these candidates for the position. And so what we'll need to do, Councilmember Carmody?
Hi, I think that there was some confusion. I don't know if we need an executive session. I'd actually move that we cancel the executive session right now.
I would second that. This is James.
So there's a motion and a second to cancel the executive session. Any discussion?
I'll chime in.
Go ahead, James.
Me personally, I don't think we need the executive session, and I don't really like the idea of going behind closed doors and continue and talking more about it anyway. I think we've all had plenty of time to look over the applications and talk to the candidates and hear from them and to get a good feel that we should be able to come to a decision in the open.
Any other discussion? Councilmember DePinto?
Thank you, Mayor. I came to this, I was asked to go ahead and support this, and which I did at first, asking for it to be put on the agenda along with a couple other council members. Looking back at this, about, I don't know, 8 years ago, I applied for a vacant seat. I think it was Councilmember Littlefield's at the time. She ultimately got, Tad Stillwell was also, went for the appointment. And through that process, the executive session was held, and I found myself as an applicant kind of disappointed that the decision was, and of course, decisions are not made in those executive sessions, but there is a lot of information that does happen over there, and I get the benefits of having those closed doors discussion. You can be a little more open and frank rather than on camera when you kind of got to watch what you're saying. I personally did see the detriment of having one, whereas I would have liked to have heard what was going on, what was said about me, my qualifications, the other people running, and ultimately Littlefield, who had won that appointment. So I'm kind of with Councilmember Carmody and Blair. We probably shouldn't be having it. I'm going with whatever the council wants. So if it's a majority that wants it, I'm happy to have that as well. Personally, I like to have it out in the open, but I do see the benefits of having it behind closed doors at times where you can kind of talk more freely. So my 2 cents.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
If it's allowed, it feels just natural to have a few minutes to discuss between us. We're a group, we're making a group decision for someone that's going to join our group. So I would still support a short executive session. If that's allowable, I don't see why that's a problem.
Well, it's on your agenda. This motion and second and discussion is about removing the executive session from the agenda, which technically should have been done when we amended the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, but that's okay. Here we are. Councilmember Curry.
I'm in favor of continuing with an executive session for 10 to 15 minutes, just as Terry said, it's not like we're not gonna talk trash about anybody. We're just gonna go over, see what we think.
Okay, well, I've heard decidedly ambivalent opinions on both of these, so we're going to have to take a roll call vote unless there's more discussion.
I don't know, Tracy, what do you think?
Well, he can always vote on it, whether or not he wants,
I think that we had our opportunity to change the agenda and and it was overlooked at that point. At this point, I think just to stay within protocol, we should move forward and move into executive session.
All right, let's take that vote so we make sure that we document this. On the purpose of having the executive, not having the executive session, this vote is to support not having the executive session. So if you want the executive session, vote no. If you don't want the executive session, vote yes. Councilmember Blair, do you want I'll just say it more simply. Councilmember Blair, do you want to go into an executive session?
no, you just,
Councilmember
Well,
Carmody,
actually-
do you want to go into executive session?
I would like to cancel the executive session. That was my motion.
I was just trying to make it clear so that everybody understands the question. So
Yeah, yes, I would like to cancel.
you do not want executive session. Councilmember Curry, do you want an executive session?
Yes.
Councilmember Wood, do you want an executive session?
Yes.
Councilmember DePinto, same question.
Yes.
Can't look at her card.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaminsky, do you want an executive session?
Yes.
There are 4 to 2, 4, yeah. So We're gonna have an executive session. Is the vote. So here's how it's gonna work. Each council member was sent 2 emails with links to 2 different meetings. Those of you who are zooming in, you should leave this meeting, find the email that invites you to the executive session meeting and log into that. When we're done with the executive session, you'll have to log back into the original meeting to rejoin this meeting. That way, we're all in the same meetings. The executive session, nobody asked for a time, so I'll just say 20 minutes. So we'll reconvene at 6:46. If we need more time, the monitor for this meeting will come on and let everybody know that the executive session is going to be extended. Otherwise, we'll reconvene at 6:46. Because of the way the speakers work, we're going to ask all of the citizens who are attending, we'll escort you down to a meeting room where you can hang out and play cards, whatever you're fancy, and then we'll bring you back in when we reconvene. Okay? So see you at the executive session. Oh, there's even a timer up there. Good job. So Brianna's going to actually have to come in here, restart the other meeting. And here she is,
I'm gonna change this meeting, but it's just that room straight
all the way to the back.
Here,
you should be able to.
Molly, can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
I got you.
Lori, you tracking?
Jalen, the girl.
Yep.
Okay, and we'll get our attendees back in here.
The military nurse. Lady.
All right, the executive session being over in exactly the 20 minutes that we slated for it.
Perfect.
We knew.
I'll take that as a win. We're going to bring the in-person attendees back into the council chambers. And then we will take up the rest of the council's business.
Which only one of them is.
Hi, Lacey. Welcome back. I'm walking into a courtroom. I think we're all in our places.
With bright shiny faces
Okay.
that no one can see.
Reconvening the regular council meeting, having come out of executive session, the order of business now before council is for the appointment of a candidate to position number 4. At this point, we will entertain motions and or discussions. I thought I saw James Blair's hands up. It's gone now.
Yep.
Councilmember Curry.
I will nominate Holly Smith.
I'll second that. Tracy Wood.
There's a motion and a second. I'm going to have to, and Lori's going to have to track this. We just want to make sure we get this right. And seconded by Councilmember Wood. And what we'll do, folks, is if we'll have multiple nominations and then the council will vote on those. We'll see if we can find a majority. Having had a consideration of this, we simply need a simple majority of the council members present to attain an appointment. Are there other motions from the floor? Councilmember Kaminsky.
I'd like to nominate Lynn Roy.
There's a nomination for candidate Lynn Roy. Is there a second? Councilmember Blair?
No.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for Lynn Roy. Are there any other motions from the floor?
I would like to nominate Will Hutchison.
And I'll second that.
Yes, you can. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Okay, we now have 3 candidates for the position. They are Holly Smith, who we'll just call by name instead of going by letters, Lynn Roy and Will Hutchison. And what I'm going to do is a roll call vote. Remember, council, you can only vote. Yes, Councilmember DePinto.
We do it randomized as we did the applicants, rather than in the order they were nominated.
You want me to randomize the vote or randomize the order in which they were nominated?
The order in which they were nominated.
Sure. Any particular order in mind?
Just a random one.
Okay, I'm going to apply my randomizer to the list right now. Having randomized, I will call for a roll call vote. Remember, council, you can only vote for one person per round on this. So on the question of Will Hutchison for council position 4, Councilmember Blair, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Carmody?
Yes.
Councilmember Curry?
No.
Councilmember Wood?
Nay.
Councilmember DePinto?
Yes.
And Councilmember Kaminsky?
No.
We do not have a majority on that. So on the question of candidate Holly Smith for position number 4, Councilmember Blair, how do you vote?
Just clarification, are we allowed to vote yes on multiple candidates or?
Well, so
Yeah, I thought we were just voting for one person. I thought you were going to run down the line and say who your vote was for one person.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were.
That's what I thought.
Let's start over and do it the way we thought then. I'm fine with that. Okay. I gotta erase this. All right. So we'll stay with that same randomizer.
I guess it doesn't
He just
matter.
wants us to
It
say
doesn't
we're
matter.
voting.
You're just coming down the line of council members and we're gonna say who we want. That's all you're doing.
Councilmember Blair, on the matter of appointment to position 4, do you vote for Holly, Lynn, or Will?
Will Hutchinson.
Councilmember Carmody,
Will Hutchison. Although I would like to say that I got a chance to interview a lot of the people and they were all amazing candidates. So I think that we're winners no matter what.
Councilmember Curry,
Holly Smith.
Councilmember Wood,
Holly Smith.
Councilmember DePinto,
Smith.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Holly Smith.
I'm glad you guys corrected my process because it makes it a lot easier. Clear majority, 4 votes to 2 for candidate Smith. And so with that vote, council has chosen Holly Smith to be appointed to position number 4. We will alert the county auditor's office of this appointment, and Holly can be sworn in at the beginning of the next meeting, at which point she'll take her seat and be an active member of the council at that time. I'm sure I speak on behalf of council to thank all of the candidates for their participation in this process. We've learned a few things as we went, and this process worked out rather well. And we would encourage that all candidates who were not successful in gaining this appointment do consider filing for election to one of the 4 council candidate positions and or the mayor's position, which are all going to be on the November ballot. Filing week is this week. It ends at 4 p.m. on Friday. And we have posted on the City of Yelm's webpage a link to the auditor's office and then the numbers of the candidates of the council positions that are open and so forth. So if you want any more information on that, you can go to that website, or you could call into City Hall and we could give you more information. That being all the business before the council at this study session, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you to staff for working this out. It was very well done.